Hi, I'm Jason, and this is episode 2 of Learning to Reload. Today we'll talk about the 9mm casing and some of the issues that I've had with that. So this week we're going to be loading some 9mm. I've already got the cases primed, resized, and expanded, but in order to charge them, I have to remove the metering and the drum for the rifles and install this pistol rotor and metering assembly. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about that, and then we'll probably load a few 9mm cases. So to start with, we're going to need our Allen key, our rotor and metering assembly, and we will go ahead and drop it all together. So first thing we're going to do, there's a button on this side here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. So we press this button in, and then that releases our metering. And this is the rifle meter. And we'll go ahead and compare that to the pistol meter. So this is the rifle and this is the pistol. Now, since this is brand new, first thing we're going to do is take some of this gun cleaner and lube. This is a dry lube made by Hornady, and we're just going to give it a quick squirt and wipe down. And then the same thing with our rotor assembly. Just a quick squirt to wipe down. And since this is a dry lube, we don't have to worry about powder sticking. You're always going to have a little bit due to static, but this will hopefully keep everything from rusting. And we'll just have to do that periodically. So in order to remove the rotary for the rifle, we're going to go ahead and take our handle off. I'll set that right there. And then you always want to push it out in the direction that the O-ring is not. So we'll set that one off to the side. Push our pistol. Actually, let's go ahead and do a quick clean up of that. So they say in order to keep your powders from sticking, you can take some dryer lint cloth and push through there. I don't have any at the moment, so we're just gonna make do. So again, we'll push our button, install our metering, just like that. And we'll install our handle here. Now eventually, I'll either have a powder charge or powder drop that is set up primarily for pistol and one for rifle. But right now, we'll just make do with switching it out. If I can hold on to the Allen key. They don't have to be real tight. We're just snugging it up. And we should be good to go. So now we can find out our powder charge we're going to use. And we're going to be using this Hodgdon CFE pistol. It's a copper fouling eraser. This is what I've been using in my 223. So this is what I've been using for my 5.56 rounds. The CFE 223. I like it pretty good. It definitely meters really well. So we'll get everything straightened out and then we'll start loading. So I have here the Hornady handbook of cartridge loading, 11th edition. And this is what I'm using to figure out what we're going to be loading our cartridges to. So we are using 9mm 115 grain XTPs. It's these here. And I'm using the CFE pistol So it gives us our load range for the 115 grain XTP, and really all of the 115 grains pretty much all fall in the same. And then it gives us our cartridge overall length and things like that. Using this, we'll figure out what our grain weight for our charge is supposed to be, and then we will get the powder thrower set up. If we need to, we can trickle a little bit into the pan, but I'm trying to get it where the powder thrower throws the right charge every time, and we can just load it straight to the shell. So it's pretty simple. We'll just take and drop our charge into our pan here, weigh it on our scale, and we're within 0.3 grains of where we want to be. So we could take and load our trickle charger and trickle those last 3 grains in. But like I said, I'm trying to get it set up to where it loads exactly what we want every time. So all you do is you back out your metering here. So for 0.3 grains, it's not very much. Now what I like to do is the first charge, I dump back in. And just make sure, so if you're throwing the charge, you want to throw it the same way every time. So it's like, oop, oop. One more. Now I could be doing this wrong, so if I am, please, somebody leave a comment. Tell me your technique. Perfect. So now we can take our funnel here, drop our powder charge in, and since pistol calibers take so little powder, what I want to do is I'm just going to set our projectile right in there. Oh, that may need to use double a little bit more. Yeah, I think we'll have to expand a little bit more. So we'll come back. So we're gonna load our shells with charge now, with powder charge. So we're gonna check our weight. It helps if we zero out our scale. See, this is why you don't get ahead of yourself. When I'm first starting an iteration of reloading, I like to check every one for the first 2, 3, maybe 5, depending on how I feel. And then after that, I'll check every 5 to 10, just to ensure that we are keeping our loads the same. Basically a quality check. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. But after I load the powder in, I like to go ahead and place the bullet in the cartridge so that I know that one is filled with powder. That way I don't end up with missing charges or a double charge, hopefully. So let's check the next couple of 3, and then we will start loading directly into the cases. Perfect. Now we can just do directly in the case. So what I'm going to do for the first couple is I'm going to place that on my scale, zero it out, place the cartridge in here, perfect. Place that in there. Now you can't do that very often because our cartridges are not going to weigh the same. This one is 1.1 grains lighter than the previous. but we just zero it out, check it again. Perfect. So I've got all the bullets charged and we are ready to start seating. But before we do, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. So the humidity in my reloading room is a little bit higher than I'd like. It's about 62%. So one thing I did to prevent too much moisture from building up inside my powders is I ordered these Boveda silica gel packs. So it's just a little pack that you're going to throw into your powder, and that just prevents too much moisture in your powder. And I have a dehumidifier running. Hopefully that can knock it down a little bit. But anyway, so I have all of my bullets kind of set in here. One thing I will say is on this back row, my scale started going nuts. I tested the first round and it read 2/10 higher than normal. So I kept having to adjust it and finally figured out it was the actual scale. So it's always good to have two scales on hand, that way you can kind of cross-check yourself. I'd like to eventually get a beam scale because they pretty much work rain or shine. But for now, let's start seating. I already have my seating die in the vise and set up, ready to go. Maybe that's another video we'll do later. I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna reset the camera and then we'll start seating bullets. All right, so as I said, I've already got the dies set up. I've adjusted the seating, the crimp. So now it's literally just pull of the handle. We want to try to make sure we're fairly straight in there. Now, if you'll notice, as I raise the ram, that bushing goes up. So Hornady dies have this unique ability to try to straighten out the bullet as it's going in, so you keep your concentricity. That's a big word. So now we just got to ensure that our bullet is seated to the correct depth. So like I said, we were using 115 grain Hornady XTPs. So for this one, it says the combined overall length should be 1.075 inches. Balance between 0.754 or 55. So that is our completed cartridge, and then we can go back to this page here, and it gives us the outer diameter for the mouth, which should be 0.380, and we are at 0.375. So that gives us 5 thousandths to 5.5 thousandths of an inch to the good. And then we will check it with our chamber gauge. So we're going to keep going through these. And I like to check every single one just to make sure. So now we have all the bullets seated and crimped. And one thing I wanted to show you guys. So I bought this 9mm Luger Hornady case gauge. And all you do is take and drop the casing in, and it should be a free fall and get a plunk, as they call it. And then we are checking to ensure, let's see if I can zoom in. Okay. So we're checking to ensure that the case sits flush below this notch here. And we have got a good, so basically it's checking to make sure that our crimp is good enough that it'll index or headspace inside the pistol barrel.
that's all for this week.